I have two incredible movers and shakers within the space focusing on NFT education, specifically how tokenomics is a form of art. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce Mohamed Ezeldin and Chana Kanzen, also known as Wrecked Alice. Woo! Give them a round of applause.
GM, is this working?
I think so, yep.
Yeah? I'm used to speaking on spaces, so I feel like everyone should show a heart if it's working, but that's not going to work. So, yeah, we got thumbs up. Hey, everyone. Actually, I need my notes. It's great to be here at NFT London. I know some of you may have been in NYC and multiple other big NFT events, but to have a NFT London event for this community, and it's absolutely buzzing and thriving, is very, very exciting. My name is Chana Kanzen. I'm privileged here to be here today with Mo Ezeldin, who's the head of tokenomics for Animoca. We've been working together on an educational blockchain project, which is why we're here today. But I'm also been in the NFT space for a long time. I'm the founder of something called London Women Leading Web3, work in a lot of education projects in the NFT space, Web3, also a partner in a DeFi hedge fund, and do a lot of advisory and consultancy work. Mo, it's great to have you here today, GM.
GM.
I wanted to ask you about your journey, because I think we have a very similar story, which is very exciting. I'm just going to ask the people talking to either take a seat or you've got loads of space to chat outside. Thank you. That's my teacher angle, which you will come into play in a minute. So behave yourselves. Mo, tell me a little bit about your background and your journey and how you became head of tokenomics for Animoca.
It's super interesting. I think my journey in has been completely different to a lot of people in the space. So my background, I've got a couple of degrees in mathematics, went into finance, quit in my second week, realized this is not for me. I hate the ethos, I hate everything around it, and really went on a mission of self-discovery to see what it is I wanted to do. And I ended up in education as a high school teacher here in the UK. Within that journey, I was in a decade, 10 years I was teaching. First 5 years, I focused a lot on the behavior element. So I was head of house, really in charge of the behavior of these students, understanding why students act the way they act, especially in inner city London schools where there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of unequal opportunity as well. So really understanding how to get through to these students and make them be inspired to want to be different and actually have an impact on the world prior to any mathematics teaching. The second part of my 10 years as a teacher, I really went deep into curriculum planning, and that's actually where a lot of the overlaps with tokenomics comes in. Because when you're designing an ecosystem for children to learn, it's not just the content they're learning, it's the way you deliver it, it's the way you assess, it's the way you design that learning environment for them to want to learn and for it to be a safe environment. And a lot of these skills are actually leading up into tokenomics. 5.5 years ago, I got into crypto. A friend shared the Bitcoin white paper. I read the white paper, I was like, wow, this solves the Byzantine's generals problem. And then I discovered ICOs, like, forget Bitcoin for now, let's go and make some money. So, wee, and then woo, all the way up and all the way down. And being a teacher really caused me to reflect. It's just like, all right, you've lost a lot of money. Why have you lost this money? Well, you don't know how to trade. Go learn to trade. And that's exactly what I did. But then I realized that trading, it was extremely stressful, especially when you're waking up in the middle of the night to check trades. When you're in the classroom and you're meant to be focused on teaching and you're just like, how's that position doing? And you realize, oh, I'm in the red. And it completely took my focus away. And it's like, nope, trading's not for me. What else can I do? And I discovered the rabbit hole of tokenomics. Went down tokenomics rabbit hole in 2018, and it was pie charts back then. It was a pie chart, and if you were lucky, you had a distribution schedule. And yeah, that's sort of where I began to find myself, or tokenomics found me. Fast forward 1.5 years ago, I got contacted on LinkedIn by Manny, who's a recruiter for Animoca Brands. Big shout out to Manny. Woo! He was just like, yeah, Animoca Brands are looking for a head of tokenomics. What do you think? And I'd seen the Animoca logo did some research, discovered, yeah, And I was at a point in my life where I really wanted, or I was in need of a mentor. Discovered and I was like, this is exactly who I need to be my mentor. Manny put me forward for the job. Fast forward a year and a half, and here I am today.
And what a mentor you are. I mean, last night you patiently explained ZK rollups to me, which was a really stimulating dinner conversation, but it was great. And I think that's what's so wonderful is the fact that you are an educator naturally and can explain something very complex in quite a simple way. But you said to me just before as we were coming in that you position tokenomics as almost like a form of art. Could you talk a bit more about that?
Absolutely. I mean, art is what we want art to be. And in my background, being an educator and a mathematician, it's solving a problem in an innovative way is art for me. It's, yes, pixels and JPEGs are also art. One of ones is also art. But for me, from a maths background, designing these sustainable ecosystems is a form of art because we're yet to see a lot of sustainable ecosystems come out, but that's down to the lack of understanding from people in the space. And also tokenomics is a massive buzzword in the space. I mean, if we were to go around and ask everyone what it meant, we'd probably have a general idea of what it means, but there'd be a different narrative around what that actually means. So it's part of the reason why I'm here today as well, is to help add that education layer so we can all level up together.
So education is so important, and we're seeing a great need for that in the current climate and ecosystem, and the onboarding, the mass onboarding of people into the Web3 space is so essential. I know that you are working on an educational project specifically, not just onboarding people and educating them about Web3, but an actual education blockchain project with a new sort of NFT and tokenomic structure that's very, very interesting. The project is actually called TinyTap, which you can look up now, and there is a live auction actually going on now. But what I'd like to ask you about that project specifically is, what was interesting about that to you? What's interesting about that project, and why did you design the token in the way you did? And a little bit about the new type of NFT. It's a new concept, this publisher NFT. What does that mean, and why is it important for Web3?
So I think there's a lot to unpick in there. So I guess starting off as to why I'm so passionate about that, again, given my background in education, having been a head of department and part of the senior leadership team in my final position, you quickly realize that the impact you have is extremely limited. There's not much impact you can actually have except in the classroom, but a wider impact isn't there. So being able to be in a blockchain space where things can scale, and this is one of the amazing things within this space, is we can scale things for mass adoption. That is a massive bonus, but even more so as a teacher and for a lot of people within the public sector, we are underappreciated, we are underpaid, and it's more of a case of that we're motivated and wanting to make a difference, and then being able to do that via my work as head of tokenomics with TinyTap as well, it's just added so much zest in my step, so to speak, from that perspective. And what's super cool about TinyTap is when we talk about content creator, the creator economy, there are so many different types of content creators. In this case, the content creators are teachers. And what TinyTap has allowed is for teachers to actually be profitable and make money on the side by leveraging the same content that they might be using in the classroom and gamifying that experience, so students can learn in a gamified manner where it's fun. It's not, I'm sitting down, here's how you do something, go and practice it 50 times, prove to me you've understood it. It is far from that. In terms of the new model we've published is this idea of a co-publisher NFT. So what we're doing is on TinyTap, the teachers upload this content, parents pay a subscription fee monthly or yearly, and based on the interaction of their kids or the students with the different content, the teachers then get a rev share from the subscription amount. So what we've done is we've looked at the most, this is the Web2 business model, by the way. What we've then done is looked at the most profitable courses. We've bundled them together based on the different teachers that have created this content, and we're now auctioning this right now live on OpenSea. What's super interesting is that you can own this publisher NFT and it provides yield, and it's not a security. So you actually have an NFT that's providing yield that is completely legit. And that's extremely difficult for the space right now. But the reason we're able to do that is, as an investor in this co-publisher NFT, there is now an onus on you to go out and publish this content so it reaches more kids, more families, and then you get to win, the teacher gets to win. And really the message what we're trying to go out for is we value teachers, we appreciate teachers, we know the amount of effort that goes in to creating this content, and we want people to be rewarded fairly, which is a big part of, even within Animoca Brands, we talk about the open metaverse. This is one step towards achieving that.
That's what I find so exciting about this project, because I think in the NFT space right now, we've seen very successful PFP drops. In fact, there's loads of chat right now going on, and lots of interesting movements, and 15 ETH rises from nothing, and all of this exciting 10x returns or 100x returns or zero on these PFP projects. But actually, the actual blockchain technology here in this project is allowing something really important. It's allowing kids to learn in an interactive way, which is desperately needed, but it's also providing revenue for educators, which they're severely underpaid, plus it's bringing a steady yield, which isn't a security, for investors. And I feel, definitely as an investor, I've been investing in crypto since 2017, that people are quite tired of the extreme high and lows. And I would say that this is almost like a stable coin of the NFT sector, in a sense that you're investing for a steady return, you're helping others, and you don't always need to go for those 100x's. So that's, I think, something that we're going to see hopefully more and more of, is different projects in the NFT space that have more value, that are having more of a social impact, and also can provide steady returns rather than these extreme high and lows.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest issues in the space is this to earn narrative, where someone does something to earn something. But the issue with that is we're incentivizing the wrong behaviors. So now everyone comes in and there's an expectation that they're earning, when realistically, if I want to get fit, I want to get fit so I can be in better shape, not to earn something. And I think we've, as a space, got that wrong. So going back to motivation, it's what motivates someone to come into an ecosystem, regardless of what underpins that ecosystem. And that's what the focus has to be. And then once you've hit critical mass, then, or once you've, not even critical mass, once you've start to get exposure and more people are joining your community, then it makes sense to think about launching NFTs, launching tokens to unite this this community together. And based on 100x returns, it's because we've seeded the space with people who are only after an ROI. That's why there's such a negative space, a negative aura around the space. I mean, I was reading something on Twitter a few days ago, and it was 97.9% of the tokens launched on Uniswap were rug pulls. And what they defined as a rug pull was after 24 hours, there was no more volume on that token. 97.9%. That's insane. In the height of the bull market, nearly 3,000 new coins were being released on Uniswap. So when people say crypto is a scam, you can't blame them for having that narrative, because a lot of people have been burned, and a lot of people think, well, actually, I don't get the tech, I don't get what's going on. I'm not too sure about this. But then NFTs as a new asset class have actually allowed people to access the technology through so many different means, and it's amazing to see in the last 2 years. We're in a bear market right now, and let's not forget this. We're in a bear market. Does it feel like a bear market to everyone else? Maybe in terms of price, but in terms of how popping this event is, in terms of how much building is going on behind the scenes, it certainly doesn't feel like a bear market from that aspect. So I think
what's interesting about Animoca Brands as well is how it's positioning itself as a major contributor to the space. And I wanted to ask you today, especially as there was news today that I read about Instagram becoming now an NFT marketplace, and how this is all evolving, and also TinyTap being a Web2 company, a very successful Web2 educational company that's making millions of dollars in revenue, now sort of veering into Web3. What's your positioning in terms of the conjecture between Web2 and Web3, and how do you see that playing out long term? Because I know, like, being a bit of a degen in the Web3 space, like, we have a remit about decentralization and controlling data, and there's a lot of passion about keeping this, authentic. But at the same time, do we need to position ourselves to engage with Web2, and how do you and Animoca see that playing out?
Great question. where do I start? I think it's super interesting because when we, as a space, we've been selling the tech, we've been selling decentralization. I have two quick questions for the audience, and it's just hands up. How many of us know how the internet works? Quick show of hands. Okay. The minority. When we're selling projects, I'm built on Ethereum, I'm built on Solana. You don't hear Facebook saying, we're built on JavaScript, and Instagram saying, we're built on Python. No one cares what the back end looks like. They care what the front end looks like. So I think we've got that wrong to a certain degree, especially when we're talking about onboarding masses. The other side of it, 2 or 3 years back, Facebook/Meta brought out WhatsApp. Everyone started downloading Signal, started downloading Telegram. They're going to be selling our data. We don't want to use WhatsApp. How many of us still use WhatsApp today? My point exactly. Even though we know something isn't good for us, so we still use that platform. So from that aspect, it's, well, if we want critical mass, if we want mainstream adoption, then we cannot be selling the back end. We have to be selling the front end, which is building a front end that is focused on Web2 users who are coming into an ecosystem because they're motivated to do so, not because they're incentivized to do so, in most cases anyway. So to the point with Instagram, with TinyTap, they already have a very solid user base, and now it's taking them on that journey from Web 2 to Web 3 by empowering them. And it's what does that empowerment look like, and that varies from platform to platform, and it's seeing what that looks like in the long run. And I think that's a narrative change that we're having internally as well, especially with a lot of the higher profile Web 2 companies that we're onboarding, is that let's focus on the Web 2 side and let the back end be blockchain, and take it from there.
So blockchain will almost be like an invisible operating system, and the Web 2 experience will be authentically almost Web 2. And that's how I think we're going to get that mass adoption that we need to survive. In the NFT space is still very small, but what does an NFT in a sense mean to you? And how has it affected your experience? You said that you were originally in this space for crypto. So how did your NFT journey start?
Probably like most people, PFPs, prices popping off. But then once the smoke dies down and you look back and reflect on what an NFT actually is, what we're seeing, my perception is it's a digital container. And I can put anything I want within this digital container. It could be a PFP, it could be an in-game asset, it could be co-publishing rights to revenue, it could be absolutely anything. It could even be tokens inside an NFT, which is something we're exploring as well. So for me, now the next question is, what's the state of the tooling in the space? Because we have all of these amazing ideas and so many new content creators from different verticals are coming in, but what's the tooling to be able to help them, to help the masses come in and on board? And a big part of it is, for you to come into Web3 or into crypto, you have to go through so many pain points. You need to download the wallet. You need to sign up on an exchange in KYC. You then need to send funds to this exchange and buy, let's say, Ethereum. You then need to send Ethereum to the wallet, make sure you've got enough gas. And if you're buying something on Polygon, you then need to bridge it. Some of you are thinking, what the hell is he talking about? And that's exactly the point. It's too difficult for an everyday person to just come in and be an active member of the Web3 space. So it's part of the tooling is custodial wallets. Another part of the tooling is, how can we abstract the blockchain layer completely away and sort of have your front end, your back end, and this API layer maybe in the middle that communicates between both. And we're still so early. I remember coming into the space 5.5 years ago, and someone was like, you're early. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Bitcoin's in the thousands already. I'm not early. 5.5 years on, we're still early.
Yeah, we definitely are. And I feel like... has Animoca got plans to help that experience, like the onboarding experience? Are you working on those type of experiments in the tokenomics area at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, it's having a maths background. It's more a case of, here's a hypothesis we're putting out. So whenever we design an ecosystem or a model, this is the hypothesis behind it. This is why we think it will be successful. And a lot of it is down to the team and the amount of research that goes on. So big shout out to Mehdi, to Jerry, part of the tokenomics team as well. Thank you guys for all your hard work. It's a team effort. And I think what's super interesting as well is, we make mistakes, other people make mistakes, and it's absolutely fine. We have to make mistakes in this space, but as long as we're open and we're honest and we communicate that this is the hypothesis, this is why we think it will work, and if it works, excellent. If it doesn't, then we've learned a new way that something doesn't work. And I think it's super important as well to understand, especially with the open sourceness of this space, that we need to have a growth mindset. And I don't believe this is spoken about enough, because for us to be successful, failure doesn't exist. It's you found a new way that something doesn't work, and then you reflect and you take it from there and see what learnings can we have to progress and to move forward.
100%. I think also what speaks to me a lot about the NFT community, definitely from my experience where I was trading crypto, and when NFTs came along, it was an empowering moment in terms of tying in creativity. So tying in elements of art, fashion, music into the crypto arena was a big moment, I think, for me personally and many of us here. And it allowed, I think, the community to bring in more diversity. I think before that crypto was quite male sort of bro culture. And I think the NFT community has diversified quite radically as a result of these art projects and fashion projects and music projects. And we've spoken a lot about that and the importance of diversity and inclusivity. Like, what's your experience, both at Animoca and personally, about NFTs being that, real inclusive element and to your journey?
So I think NFTs have allowed people to be able to visualize their, how can I put it? It's like maybe an access card, or it's something that represents who you are within a specific ecosystem. So, and as a technology, it's also allowed more people to come in, because artists as well, when we speak about NFTs as digital container, here's a piece of art I can put in. So from that perspective, it's allowed a lot more people to come into the space on an application layer without necessarily understanding how the back end or the blockchain works, but they understand I can mint an NFT and this is my art. And I think that's part of the reason why we have this buzzword Web3 now. So 5 years ago, it was crypto. Web3 didn't exist. And maybe, to me, crypto and Web3 are slightly different things. Crypto is more people who came in for the fungible token and they were motivated or inspired by that. And then Web3 is more of the NFT community that are coming in, who don't really care about the fungible tokens. And I mean, a quick one to that, again, you can see I'm a teacher because I really try to engage the audience. How many of us own a fungible token of some form? How many of us own a token? How many of us own NFTs as well? Okay, interesting. So it's more or less the same people. Maybe there are one or two hands that weren't up for tokens that are up for NFTs. So yeah, I was hoping for a bigger divide to prove a point, but it didn't happen this time. But yeah.
So I'm getting the. We could chat all day, and we usually do. But we are around today. I know, Mo, you're around most of the day. Yes. So if you've got any further questions, but thanks for everything you're doing in the space, and it's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Likewise, and thank you NFT London for having us on stage, and thank you everyone here for listening.